Hello, guys. This is Nobu. Do not take my advice as financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, so do not take my advice at all. Just take it with a grain of salt. All right. So right now, what we're looking at is three cycles, right? 3 to 4 cycles. So as we look at the treasury balance, this is from Tuesday. Starts to dwindle, right? And there was a massive inflow on Wednesday, and it pushed the balance back up. And look at it now, 46. And Monday is going to be very interesting to see what that balance was on Friday. All right, and then even if we look at dark pool and um, look at the kind of the comparison of to now and then before, right? From May 24th to the 27th, dark pool was positive, and then immediately after that, it was negative, right? And then look, what's the comparison in the dark pool, right? It's this on 9:30, net volume went positive. 2 days later, on 10/4, October 4th, the position money M went positive, right? And then on the 13th, it was the last day that the net volume was positive, right? And the position is slowly dwindling out, right? You can see here on the 14th went negative, 15th negative again, and the position is slowly but surely is decreasing, right? So I think on since the position followed the net volume 2 days later, in terms of turning negative, I think it's essentially going to follow the same thing. 2 days later is going to follow it to being negative, right? And that's just kind of like another key indicator of kind of the comparison of where we are. Um, what we've just experienced in dark pool is one of the longest stints being positive in dark pool just this year, right? And the last time, like I said, that we went positive consecutively was back in May 24th to the 27th, right? And if we compare the daily chart, right, you can see that we had a dip here. And here's the crazy thing that I found out. Kind of just, it drew my attention because here on the 13th was a peak, right? And it should have been the peak where we should have gapped up, right, and go to the fucking moon. But what I found out that they did is, and let me lock all this. Um, what I found out that they did is essentially they take this entire pattern here all the way to this portion, right, where it's in the last um, wave, and this is all this. It's like a flip inversion of it, and it's fucking weird. It's crazy. So that's one of the algorithms that is playing out, and it's in the last portion of the next move, right? And it's gonna go absolutely insane. It's like this next dip, and then that's it. Clear skies, bro. This next dip is here, and after that, clear skies. And even on the sense of the longer sense of the algorithm, we've essentially completed the cycle from Jan to June just simply in this, right? And this dip here in April, May, it's this right here. And this handle here is this right here. Because there's nowhere in the chart that actually has like this definitive breakout of the cup, the weird shaped cup. And you can see here, you got a weird shaped cup here, and it's formed here. and it's the same thing. It's a dignified show of like, yeah, we're breaking out this cup. This cup is no more. You know what I mean? And then if one into this finals dip on the bigger scale, what is it doing? Doing the same thing. You know, and if we do a comparison on the June to January 2020 to Jan to June to August 17th to current, the chart gets more and more condensed. You know, as we can see, 52, 22, 22 to 14, 24 to 13 to 6 days, 16 to 5, and then 11. And I think this 11, in my opinion, I think this 11 is all this bullshit that they flipped this entire thing. All this 11 and 7 is all this bullshit here. That's all this bullshit here. And we can kind of see it in a sense. It's hard to picture it, but essentially this is the same shit. This 11 days and 7 days, it's all of this. And then it ends into that final cup. And what we're doing in that final cup. And it's crazy as fuck that that's happening, right? It's insane. And then we're going into that next dip. And the thing that, like, everyone, there's a lot of people that are just like sticking like fucking shit to the wall. They're just throwing shit to the wall and hoping it sticks. They'll like grab a chart from a 30-minute or 45-minute and compare to like a 1 hour or 4 hour. And granted, I guess it will make some sense, but not really. Just because if you look at it, the chart has to have some consistent pattern, right? Some consistency to it. And throughout this entire cycle, we've had that consistency, you know. And if we compare, like I said, like we compare this June to June to current, we're just getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, which in turn gets it more and more crazy of how hard this shit can squeeze, right? And how fast it just can go. And I think on the grand scale of things, right, people are gonna play both sides. What I mean by the people is, you know, the big boys. They're gonna play both sides of the trades. They're gonna play on long sense, you know, make some money on the way up, and then they're gonna ultimately short it all the way back down. They're gonna try to, you know, and try to make all that cash on the way down, and then again do the repeated cycle over and over. Like I said here, it's all of this is essentially just all of this, and it's fucking crazy that that's the thing, you know. And we just look at like we were looking at the 11 day to 7. It's all of this, man, and it's just like, what the fuck is this, man? You know, and there's multiple algorithms that are playing out. Even if we look at the MACD, the MACD crossed over finally on the daily. TSI starting to cross. And here's the thing that gets really, 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 really spicy. Alright? Is whenever the MACD and the TSI cross, look here, cross reference, whenever it crossed or like touched or whatever, right, a little touched, and the MACD crossed and TSI started to go up and started to gap away, right? You saw that gap up, and as the TSI is starting to curl back up, and so is the weekly MACD starting to get very interesting, right? And if we look at also what happened to the push up to the 52, the MACD and the TSI got really close to crossing, but it didn't actually, because they just injected steroids and they completed this entire bullshit cycle of that 11 and 7 days is this, and that's the steroids that they pushed in. It's this entire fucking portion is this fucking portion. And it's stupid as fuck to me that like this is actually even possible, you know? Even if we look at the 4 hour, everything looking good, right? It's kind of following the same pattern of this. And then we're in that last step. And this last 2 trading days ago, we've created this fractal here where we completed in 2 days, right? And then also if we look at the EMA, the EMAs are looking good. Right now we're bouncing off that 50 and the 20. And anyone that's calling, this is the thing that I don't understand when it comes to like the indicators and whenever like people are like just sticking the shit to the wall, just throwing shit to the wall and hoping it sticks, is the fact that the EMA, the 100 EMA, right? We've been bouncing off this 100 EMA for the longest on the daily, right? We see it here. Whenever it breaks below the 100 EMA, always pushes back up. Always pushes back up. And then it happens here again. What do? We're breaking below that 100 EMA, but we're always pushing up. Always pushing up, see? Touches it, breaks it, but always bouncing off of it and pushing back up on the 100 EMA. So anyone that's calling for like a break below, let's say 36.78, it would honestly invalidate this entire trend line. And I don't think it's gonna bounce that low, because right now, as you can see, we're starting to bounce off the 20 and the 50 EMA, which is a really good sign because the 20 is starting to go to the cross the 20, or the 20 is starting to cross the 50. Sorry, we see that happening here. Whenever the we started bouncing off the 100 EMAs, and it finally crossed, right? We started bouncing off the 20 and the 50 EMA, and then look here. So I mean, everything looks good, you know. It really does. It really looks good. And then even if we look on the weekly, right? The back here, the 200 and the 20 EMA crossed, and the 50 and the 100 EMA crossed, right? And right now, the 200 is crossing the 100. And what are we doing right now? We're bouncing off the 20 EMA on the 1 week. You know, even here, 4 hour. The what's it called? We're bouncing off that 100 EMA right now on the 4 hour. And right now the 50 is looking up like it's about to cross, and so is the 20. That's also another good key indicator that it's looking good for us. And same thing here too, man. Like, we've been bouncing off the 100 EMA, and we've always respected the 100 EMA, always. You know, even if we break below it, you always bounce off of it. So that's why I think that even here we bounce off that 100 EMA right here. You know, and we're continuously gonna bounce off that 100 EMA. I think even if we did break, right? Even if we did break the 100 EMA on the 3 hour, I think max is gonna bounce below to is the 200, which is 39.13. That's the max is gonna drop to, I believe. And as we can see here, the 20 and the 50 are starting to curl up, so it's gonna be a really quick. If it does drop, it's gonna be a really quick, brief drop, and it's nothing too insane. Even on the 200 or the 2 hour, sorry, but right now we're bouncing off the 200 EMA. We're respecting it, you know. And then the 20 just crossed the 50, and the 20 is starting to cross the 100, and it's gonna cross the 200. Same goes for the 50. And even on the 1 hour, we already crossed and starting to bounce off of the 20 EMA, right? 20 EMA already crossed on the 1 hour, and the 50 is starting to cross the 100. is another good sign that everything is starting to look really good for us. 45 minutes, same thing. Bouncing off the 20 EMA. 50 crossed the 100. 50 is about to cross the 200. Looks good as fuck. And here, you already crossed the 200 and the 100. And what are we doing? We're bouncing off of the 20 EMA on the 30. Same goes on the 15 minute. Just trading within the 20 and bouncing off the 50. You know, and it just looks really really good, y'all. It really does. So anyone that's calling for like a massive dip, it's not gonna happen. It's really not, because all the indicators are really looking good. They're looking solid, and all the indicators are bouncing off those, or the chart is bouncing off of those indicators, right? It's either bouncing off the 200, the 100, the 50, or the 20, right? And once all of the indicators cross on every single chart, it is gonna be a really good fucking time. It's gonna be a really really good time. It's gonna look amazing, because I mean, even if we look back and kind of cross reference what we witnessed in August to September, right? We kind of had everything cross here, right? But we've never had the what's it called? I think it was a MACD never fully crossed over. I forget what it was. Let's see. I think it was on the 1 week. I think it was the 1 week. The MACD hasn't fully crossed. Yeah. Yeah. So the MACD on the weekly, we didn't fully. No, we did cross it. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't fully cross it on the on the 1 week. We just touched it. And like I said, y'all, like once that 1 week crosses, whoo boy, it's gonna get spicy dicey. Gonna get scrumptious diddly yoshish osho. Oh my god. I see MACD crossed here, and then we saw the push to 52, but it never actually crossed on the week for the MACD. So I don't know, y'all. It's looking good as fuck, man. It really is. And here's also another like kind of like key indicator for me that of where we are. So we essentially saw this peak here, right? And we've already established this is a inversion pattern of the January dip, or January to February dip. And here on March 19th, I think you could say here, so July 8th would be like the dignified weird cup that we formed, right? And we didn't have a actual true indicator that we broke out of this weird formation of the cup until here. You know, and that's another key indicator for me that this is where we are, you know. And there's a lot of algorithms, patterns are lining up, and it's absolutely insane. I mean, even if we take this green line, which is a elongated version of this here, if this actually does play out, right? And I don't know how long and how it is gonna play out, right? But all I do know is that 64 is gonna be the next peak for one of them, and then it's gonna dip down, and then it's gonna peak up again, and then it's gonna peak up again, and then it's gonna dip and then peak up again. You know, and that's where we could see like possibly like, so let's say it hits 64 and then it drops down to 54 and then it peaks up back to 90, right? And then it's gonna peak back up to It's gonna drop maybe down to 80 or 90. Say it's like 99, drops down to 90, right? And then it's gonna peak back all the way up to 160, 160, 170, 180 maybe, you know, and then it drops all the way back down to 130, and then it goes again, you know. And this is the thing with this elongated version that they created, is the fact that it's gonna be so disgusting it's not even funny, you know. And honestly, this is gonna be the cheapest that AMC is gonna be. And it's crazy to think about, you know. It's just insane. Even if we look at the 1 hour and we add the extended hours, it's a little bit weird and convoluted, uh, but even if we look here, right, and we compare what happened in after hours in on Friday, right, and we kind of compare that to this, you know, we've already started the dip. Already started it. And that dip was to the, it could have been different on another chart, but on here it says 39.60. I think it was lower than that. But it's already starting to dip, you know. And look here, breaks below the 20, but again it pulled back up a little bit, not fully, but pull back up. And here on the 1 hour, I think we're just gonna respect that what's it called, the 200. So I don't think it's gonna dip below more than that. If it dips below the 200, it's gonna be very brief and it's gonna bounce back up real quick. And you can see here on the 2 hour, bounce off the 20, respected the 200. 200 pulled it back up, and we see it here on the 3 hour, respected the 100, and the 200 pulled it back up. Same thing goes for the 4 hour, same thing. And on the daily, he bounced off of the 50, just respects it, you know. Even if we look at the 45, you know, granted we dipped below, broke the 20, but it pulled it back up and it bounced off the 50, you know. And same thing here, respected that 50, pulled it back up, respected the 100, you know. And that's another thing for me that's like, man, it is looking mighty fine to me, man. You know, it's looking really good. Because I mean, even with this, it's the first, even if we break down this portion of the chart, right, it's has a breakout, right. I think they just calculated, because I didn't think it was gonna hit that high. I thought it was gonna touch it, but it just broke it. But then we dipped below it and then broke out of that trend line again and hit it, right. And with this, granted we did break this trend line, but we just created a healthier trend line than what we had previous, and that's really good. It's really good, really good sign, you know. And we've been respecting that trend line ever since. That new trend line we've been respecting, and same thing that we see here, same thing happened here. Huh, why don't you look at that? That's fucking hilarious. Holy shit. So it is what it is, y'all. But you know, this week and this next few weeks is gonna be really, 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 really nice, in my opinion. So, do what you